Elias had always imagined the first moment humans met an alien species would be tense. He had pictured grand speeches, shimmering starships, and the weight of history pressing down on every word. Yet, nothing had prepared him for the sheer beauty and majesty of the Valor flagship as it floated silently above the neutral space station. Its hull shimmered with colors that shifted like liquid glass, reflecting the distant stars in patterns that seemed alive. The ship radiated power and elegance, a testament to a civilization far beyond anything humanity had achieved. As the young diplomat stepped onto the polished observation deck, his boots clicked softly against the gleaming floor. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with a scent he couldn't quite identify, like ozone and something sweet. It was calming in a strange way. Around him, alien delegates moved gracefully, their forms lithe and smooth, their movements almost dance-like. Elias felt both awe and a surge of nervousness. This was no ordinary summit. The Valor were known across the galaxy for their intelligence and unyielding judgment. One misstep could end in humiliation or worse, a permanent diplomatic cold shoulder that might close humanity's chance at interstellar alliances for decades. He was guided by a tall, silver-skinned attendant who radiated an aura of authority without ever speaking a word. The attendant led Elias through vast chambers filled with glowing panels, suspended holograms, and what seemed like floating gardens of bioluminescent plants. It was an environment designed to impress, and impress it did. Elias' heart raced, but he reminded himself of his training: observe, listen, and think before speaking. Finally, they reached the central chamber, a vast circular hall where the Queen's dais rose like a sculpture from the center. Queen Valira sat atop it, her form regal and elegant, almost ethereal. She was taller than any human, her skin shimmering in faint patterns that changed subtly with the light, and her eyes, large and luminous, seemed to look straight into the thoughts of anyone who approached. Despite her commanding presence, there was a warmth in the way she regarded the visitors, a sense that she welcomed curiosity as much as respect. Elias took a deep breath. This was the moment he had prepared for, though nothing could truly prepare him for the reality of standing before a being who embodied centuries of alien refinement. He stepped forward, bowing slightly as a gesture of respect. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through him. "It is an honor to meet you and your people. Humanity has long admired the achievements of the Valor. Your civilization is a testament to intelligence, beauty, and discipline." The words were a compliment of the highest order, and yet he sensed an underlying test. The Valor were not easily impressed, and flattery alone would not secure trust. He chose his next words carefully. "Your elegance and grace are unmatched, Your Majesty," he said, committing to honesty rather than empty praise. "Your people have created wonders that inspire not only admiration but genuine aspiration. Humans hope to learn, to grow, and to find a place among your knowledge and experience." "Would you like to see it up close?" she asked, her voice calm yet carrying an almost imperceptible edge. Elias froze. The words hung in the air like a question without context, and for a heartbeat he could not move. His mind raced. Was this a test, a joke, or a literal invitation? He glanced at the attendants, but they remained perfectly still, expressionless as ever. The room seemed to shrink, and all the training, all the preparation, condensed into this single moment. He forced himself to inhale slowly, grounding his thoughts. I would be honored to understand more about your civilization, Your Majesty," he replied carefully. He realized that any hesitation could be perceived as fear or disrespect. "If you wish to show me, I promise to observe with respect and curiosity. Many species have visited and many have failed simple tests of courage and composure. Humans are different. You freeze in moments of uncertainty, yet you can act decisively when it matters. That combination is rare. It intrigues me. And we try to see the truth in all things, even when it is difficult." The walls seemed to pulse with a soft light, and intricate machinery hummed with purpose. At the center, suspended in midair, was a sphere of what appeared to be liquid crystal, spinning slowly, reflecting colors and shapes from the surroundings. The Queen approached it, and Elias could see now that she moved with careful precision, almost as if her steps themselves were a language. "This is the heart of our knowledge network," she explained. "It stores information not just as data, but as experience. A visitor may see 1,000 lifetimes of thought and insight if they are ready. We have computers, yes, but nothing that truly feels alive. That is why I am willing to show you this." The question was not whether he would see her up close in a literal sense. but whether he could rise to the challenge of understanding the Valar world without fear or judgment. Hours passed as the Queen guided him through various chambers, showing him intricate bioengineering labs, gravity-manipulating test fields, and AI companions capable of nuanced conversation and emotion. Ilias asked countless questions, and to his relief, none were met with impatience. Each answer revealed more about the Valar, and each revelation deepened his respect for them. Yet beneath the marvels of technology, Ilias noticed subtle lessons. The Queen often paused before allowing him to touch a device or enter a room. Each pause was a silent test of observation and patience. Each gesture carried a meaning beyond words. Ilias had to learn to interpret not just what he was shown, but how it was shown. By the time the guided tour ended, Ilias was exhausted but exhilarated. The Queen led him back to the central chamber, where the other delegates now awaited, curious about the human who had accepted the Queen's test without faltering. "You have done well," she said, her voice carrying a rare note of warmth. "Most species would have stumbled, frozen, or spoken without thought. You have shown composure, respect, and the human trait I find most fascinating, the courage to remain curious even when faced with uncertainty. I hope humanity can live up to your expectations." Instead, it had been about courage, observation, and the ability to face the unknown with honesty. Humanity's first step into the galactic community had begun not with conquest or intimidation, but with the simple act of standing firm, staying curious, and respecting the unknown. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Ilias knew this was only the beginning. The Queen's invitation, strange as it had seemed at first, was a doorway into a universe of possibilities, possibilities that humanity was just beginning to understand. He lay awake that night, staring at the strange bioluminescent panels in his quarters, thinking of the Queen, her words, and the vast, elegant ship floating in orbit. He realized that the future of humanity and the stars would depend not on weapons or sheer strength, but on audacity, curiosity, and the courage to meet the universe without fear. Somehow, he knew he would not freeze again. The next morning, Ilias woke early, still replaying the Queen's words in his mind. Even after the long tour of the Valar flagship, he felt as if he had only glimpsed the surface of their civilization. The corridors, the glowing spheres, the artificial gardens. It was all stunning, yet he sensed that the true depth of the Valar's intelligence and culture was far beyond anything he could imagine. After a quick breakfast of nutrient-rich food designed by the Valar for optimal energy, Ilias was escorted once again to the central chamber. This time, the Queen awaited him alone, her presence as commanding as before but tempered with a gentle curiosity. Ilias could see that she was testing him, not through intimidation but through observation. Every gesture, every word would be carefully weighed. "Humans are fascinating," the Queen began, her voice smooth and melodic. "You are so young as a species, yet you accomplish what older civilizations often fail at, adaptation and audacity. Today, you will face a challenge designed to measure these qualities more directly." "I am ready, Your Majesty," he said, careful not to let his anxiety show. The Queen gestured toward a small platform that had not been there before. It hovered slightly above the chamber floor and glowed faintly. "Step onto the platform," she instructed. "It is simple, yet it will reveal much about your nature." Simple, she said, yet his instinct screamed that nothing on this ship was ever truly simple. Still, he stepped forward, placing both feet onto the glowing surface. Immediately, he felt a mild sensation, almost like static electricity running across his skin. The platform responded to his thoughts and emotions, adjusting its brightness and pulsing rhythm according to his mental state. The Queen observed silently. Most beings panic the moment they feel unfamiliar energy. Humans, however, you seem calm. Explain what you feel. The Queen's eyes sparkled. "Yes, it is a reflection of your mind. Some beings fail to see themselves when confronted with unfamiliar power. You see yourself and respond with curiosity rather than fear. This is rare." To them, fear or arrogance were signs of weakness. Curiosity, restraint, and courage were signs of intelligence. Humanity had survived against countless odds on their home planet because, despite fear, they acted with ingenuity. Perhaps this was why the Valar found them intriguing. "Now," the Queen continued, "we will move to the next phase." She gestured, and a series of doors opened, revealing a long hallway filled with panels, holographic displays, and strange symbols that Ilias could not decipher. Within this corridor are challenges designed to measure observation, reasoning, and composure. You must navigate them without harming the system or yourself. Drawing on his training in logic and pattern recognition, he slowly moved pieces in his mind until the puzzle resolved. A soft chime indicated success. He moved forward, heart beating faster, as the next challenge appeared. This time, it was a series of floating platforms, each hovering over a shallow energy field. The platforms shifted slightly as he stepped on them, requiring balance and timing. Elias had to rely on both observation and instinct. A misstep could mean falling into the energy field, which, while not harmful, would trigger a warning signal. Carefully, he moved across, sensing the platform respond to his focus and intent. Halfway through the corridor, the Queen's voice echoed in his mind, not aloud, but through some form of empathic communication the Veiler possessed. Most species would have grown frustrated or fearful by now. Humans persevere because you see the challenge as an opportunity, not a threat. This is why you intrigue us. Curiosity is your greatest weapon. The Veiler did not need speech to communicate, yet their words were clear, precise, and full of meaning. He realized that this entire corridor was more than a test of skill. It was a test of mindset. How humans responded to uncertainty, to complexity, to subtle observation would determine their worth in the eyes of the Veiler. By the time he reached the final section, Elias was both exhausted and exhilarated. A large holographic sphere floated before him, filled with shifting symbols and light. This was clearly the culmination of the test. He approached it slowly, noting how it pulsed in response to his heartbeat. Unlike the previous challenges, this one did not have a clear solution. Elias realized he could not simply solve it, he had to understand it. He concentrated, letting his mind clear of fear and expectation. He allowed himself to observe the sphere without judgment, noting its patterns, its rhythm, its subtle responses to his presence. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours, and finally the sphere stabilized, emitting a gentle glow. "Impressive," the Queen's voice said again, clear in his mind. "You see beyond the obvious. You do not try to force understanding, but instead you let understanding come to you. This is rare, even among advanced species. I am learning that understanding requires patience as much as observation." He had passed the first real challenge, not by strength or intellect alone, but by staying calm, curious, and adaptable. He realized that this was precisely what humanity had always excelled at. Against impossible odds on Earth, humans had survived, adapted, and thrived. Here, in the presence of an alien civilization far older and more advanced, those same qualities were being recognized and valued. When they returned, other delegates were gathered in the chamber, observing him with curiosity. The Queen raised a hand, and the murmuring subsided. "This human," she said, "has shown that your species has qualities worth noting: composure, curiosity, and the courage to face uncertainty with an open mind. We will continue to observe and perhaps learn together." Humanity had passed the first test of understanding alien culture without fear or arrogance, but far greater challenges awaited. He had glimpsed the power and elegance of the Veiler, yet he understood that trust, respect, and comprehension were far more valuable than technology alone. Later, in his quarters, Elias reviewed the experiences of the day. Every puzzle, every platform, every glowing sphere had taught him something about the Veiler perspective, and by extension, something about humanity itself. Humans thrived not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because they were adaptable, daring, and curious. These qualities allowed them to survive, to explore, and now, perhaps, to thrive among the stars. Sleep eventually claimed him, but even in dreams, the glowing sphere of the final test lingered in his mind. Its shifting patterns reminded him that the universe was full of mysteries, and humanity's greatest strength lay not in conquering those mysteries outright, but in approaching them with respect, patience, and ingenuity. When he awoke the next morning, the Queen was waiting outside his quarters. "You are ready for the next stage," she said simply. Her tone suggested both encouragement and challenge. Elias straightened, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nervous energy. He had learned to trust himself, but he also knew that the path ahead would demand even greater skill, observation, and composure. The hallway to the next chamber was wider, filled with glowing orbs floating in intricate patterns. Each orb seemed to react to his movement and presence. The Queen followed silently, watching him closely. Elias realized that every step he took, every glance he made, was being observed not just as action, but as reflection of thought. The orbs formed complex pathways that shifted as he approached. He had to think several moves ahead, predicting the reaction of each orb to his presence. At first, it was disorienting, but he soon found a rhythm. He learned to anticipate the orb's movement and to move in harmony with them rather than against them. The challenge was not speed or strength, it was attunement, understanding, and patience. By the time he reached the far end of the chamber, Elias felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He realized that the Queen's tests were not about proving human superiority or dominance. They were about revealing the best aspects of humanity. Curiosity, adaptability, composure, and the willingness to learn. These qualities made humans unique, even to a species as advanced as the Veiler. The Queen nodded, her expression unreadable but approving. "You are learning quickly," she said. "Most species never understand the purpose of these exercises. Humans, you surprise us. That is why you will be remembered." Yet he also understood that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, and the Queen's tests were designed to reveal potential, not provide answers. Humanity's journey among the stars was just starting, and the challenges ahead would demand all their ingenuity, courage, and curiosity. For the first time, Elias felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the Veiler, but to humanity itself. He realized that humans, despite their flaws and limitations, had something extraordinary to offer. They could face uncertainty with courage, adapt to any situation, and turn challenges into opportunities. The Queen had seen it in him, and through him, she had seen it in humanity. And in that moment, Elias understood that the human spirit, as unpredictable and audacious as it was, might just be the key to finding a place among the stars. The next stage of Elias' journey began with an invitation he did not expect. Queen Valeira had requested a private audience, and the human diplomat could feel the weight of anticipation as he walked down the polished corridors of the Veiler flagship. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, lit by soft, shifting lights that reacted subtly to his presence. Every step reminded him that he was navigating not just a spaceship, but a civilization far beyond his own, a civilization that valued thought, precision, and observation above all else. When he entered the Queen's private chamber, he was struck by the contrast with the formal central hall. The room was smaller, intimate, yet still impressive. Bioluminescent panels lined the walls, displaying intricate data patterns that shifted like living organisms. The air was calm, almost soothing, and the Queen herself sat at a low platform, her eyes luminous and focused. "You have performed well, Elias," she said, her voice carrying the same melodic precision as before. "You have passed the first phase of our examination. Today you will see something that few outsiders have ever witnessed, the inner workings of the Veiler mind and technology. Are you prepared?" The Queen gestured, and a nearby wall shifted silently, revealing a narrow passageway leading to a vast chamber. As Elias followed, he felt an unfamiliar thrill. This was no ordinary tour. He was being trusted with secrets few beings had ever seen, and he understood that trust was rare in the galaxy, particularly for humans. The chamber opened into a breathtaking space. It was enormous, yet every detail seemed perfectly controlled. At its center floated a complex network of crystalline structures, connected by streams of glowing energy. The structures were alive in a sense, pulsing rhythmically, responding to some unseen command. Elias realized immediately that he was looking at the Veiler knowledge core, the central intelligence that coordinated both the physical and informational operations of their entire civilization. "This is the heart of our species," Queen Valeira explained. "It stores not only knowledge but patterns of thought, memory, and decision-making. Few outsiders have been allowed this close. Your species has earned this privilege through composure, curiosity, and intelligence." Yet there was no fear, only the thrill of understanding something immense and complex. "Most species would be overwhelmed by the complexity," the Queen continued. "They would panic, try to dominate, or fail to observe. You, humans, respond with thought and curiosity. That is why you are intriguing. I can see why your civilization is so advanced. Everything is interconnected, yet every part seems purposeful. That is rare among the civilizations we encounter." She was offering insight into the very mind of her civilization, and in doing so, she was challenging him to comprehend not just information, but perspective. "Observe carefully," she said. "What you see here is more than data. It is the logic and philosophy of our people. Can you interpret it?" He traced the flowing patterns with his eyes, noting how some streams of energy branched and merged, reflecting decisions and consequences. Slowly, a pattern emerged in his understanding. The Veiler valued balance above all, integrating emotion, reason, and foresight into every choice. Elias realized that their intelligence was not merely computational, it was holistic, blending knowledge with wisdom, foresight, and adaptability. It is remarkable, he murmured. Your people think in ways humans have never considered, yet I can see that there are similarities. You value understanding, adaptation, and observation, qualities we humans rely on as well. Humanity had often been underestimated, considered weak or reckless by other civilizations. Yet here, in the presence of beings far older and wiser, those very traits were recognized as strengths. He realized that the universe was full of surprises, and human ingenuity could shine in ways even advanced species might not predict. The Queen led him further into the chamber, showing him systems that controlled planetary networks, energy distribution, and communication across light years. Elias marveled at the scale and sophistication. Yet more than technology, he noticed the subtle principles guiding every operation: balance, observation, and feedback. The Veiler were not only intelligent, they were thoughtful in every aspect of their civilization. You see the vastness of our knowledge, the Queen said. But knowledge alone does not make a species powerful. Understanding, foresight, and adaptability do. Humans, you demonstrate potential in ways that are unpredictable and intriguing. That is why you are here, Elias. To learn, yes, but also to show us your strengths. Just as he was considering the enormity of this responsibility, a sudden alert flashed across the chamber. A small holographic projection appeared, showing a rival alien delegation approaching the flagship. They had been warned of the summit but arrived ahead of schedule, their intentions unclear. The Queen's eyes narrowed, and Elias could feel tension ripple through the room. They come uninvited, she said calmly. Some species do not understand diplomacy, or they think intimidation will work against the Veiler. They underestimate humanity as well. Watch carefully, Elias. Elias immediately noticed the difference. They relied on displays of power, aggression, and coercion rather than subtlety and observation. He realized that this was more than a diplomatic challenge. It was a test of human qualities in contrast to other civilizations. The Queen gestured, and Elias found himself standing before a console that allowed him to monitor communications and environmental systems in real time. She explained, "You will assist me in demonstrating human composure and insight. Many species assume we are easily intimidated. Show them that humanity is not easily swayed." The rival delegation was broadcasting messages designed to provoke, to create uncertainty and fear. They assumed that humans would panic or the Veiler would respond aggressively. Elias calmly analyzed their words, noting inconsistencies and weaknesses in their logic. He began crafting responses, measured, precise, and tactful. Instead of confronting the delegation with aggression, he highlighted misunderstandings, gently pointing out flaws in their assumptions. The Queen observed silently, her expression unreadable but attentive. Minutes passed, yet Elias remained calm, adapting to each new provocation with patience and insight. Slowly, the rival delegation's posture shifted. They realized that their attempts to intimidate were failing. The calm, clever human had outmaneuvered them without any threat or confrontation. The Queen's voice echoed in his mind again, filled with rare approval. "You have done what most species cannot. You have met aggression with clarity, observation, and courage. This is why humans are interesting. You do not rely on force alone, yet you can prevail. These qualities may well define humanity's place among the stars." As the Queen guided him back to the private chamber, Elias reflected on the lessons of the day. Technology, strategy, and knowledge were powerful, but composure, insight, and adaptability were what truly set humans apart. The universe was vast, filled with unknowns, yet humanity had qualities that made them unpredictable and valuable allies. The Queen paused at a window overlooking the stars. "Elias," she said, her eyes reflecting distant galaxies, "you have shown that humans can rise to challenges not through strength, but through thought, courage, and creativity. Remember this. The universe rewards those who can act wisely, adapt quickly, and remain curious. You have these qualities. I will do my best to represent humanity with the qualities you admire. Humanity's path among the stars is only beginning, and you have already shown that you can rise to meet it." Humanity was young, yes, but full of potential, courage, and creativity. He could see now why the Veiler found them fascinating, and why the Queen had chosen to test him in such a deliberate, revealing way. As he left the chamber, Elias knew that every step forward would require patience, observation, and ingenuity. Yet he was ready. Humanity had faced impossible odds before and emerged stronger. Here, in the company of the Veiler, those same qualities would define their place in the galaxy. And somewhere, deep within the heart of the flagship, the Veiler knowledge core pulsed, aware of every movement, every thought, and now, the potential of a species that could surprise even the most advanced civilizations. Elias returned to the central chamber the next day, a mixture of anticipation and determination in his chest. The events of the previous day had confirmed something he already suspected. Humanity had qualities that even the Veiler admired. Composure, curiosity, and intelligence were traits that other species often lacked, and in the eyes of the Queen, these qualities made humans both unpredictable and valuable. Yet Elias knew that the universe was far from simple, and that admiration alone would not secure humanity a place among the stars. As he approached the dais, he noticed that the atmosphere in the chamber had shifted. Delegates from other civilizations, previously neutral observers, now watched with intensity. Whispers filled the room, subtle yet tense, and Elias sensed that something was brewing. His pulse quickened, but he forced himself to remain calm. Composure was everything. Queen Velira's voice rang out, smooth and clear. "We have a situation. A delegation from the Arkan Consortium has arrived unexpectedly. They claim to represent their people, yet they have bypassed protocol. Their intentions are unclear, and they have made statements that suggest hostility." The Arkan Consortium was known across several star systems for their aggressive diplomacy. They were the type of species that relied on intimidation and force, not subtlety or thought. Many civilizations had struggled to negotiate with them. This would be a real test, not of skill or intelligence alone, but of courage, patience, and human ingenuity. The Queen gestured toward a holographic display showing the Arkans approaching the flagship. Their ships were angular and imposing, their patterns sharp and harsh against the elegant curves of the Veiler vessel. Elias studied the projection carefully. He could see the confidence in their formation, the precision of their movements, and the arrogance that accompanied it. They believed themselves to be superior, and they assumed that any human would falter under their presence. "Elias," the Queen said, "you will assist in this matter. Humans are underestimated. I wish to see how your species responds to provocation and uncertainty." This was his moment to show that humanity's audacity and intelligence could match or even surpass the expectations of older civilizations. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, accessing the communications console. The Arkans were broadcasting messages designed to unsettle both the Veiler and their guests. Their words were sharp, almost confrontational, meant to test composure and provoke rash decisions. Elias analyzed each message, noting inconsistencies, overconfidence, and gaps in logic. Instead of reacting emotionally, he focused on clarity, reason, and strategy. He crafted responses that were calm and precise. Where the Arkans attempted intimidation, he used logic and subtle diplomacy to reveal flaws in their arguments. Where they expected fear, he displayed measured confidence. The Queen observed silently, her expression unreadable, yet Elias could sense approval in her watchful gaze. Hours passed as the exchange continued. The Arkans increased the intensity of their messages, expecting to provoke frustration or rash action. Yet Elias remained steady, anticipating each move, adapting to new challenges, and maintaining clarity. His responses combined human intuition with reason, highlighting solutions rather than conflict. Slowly, the tide began to shift. The Arkans realized that their usual tactics were ineffective. Their attempts to dominate or intimidate were met not with fear, but with intelligence and composure. Elias could sense their surprise. They had underestimated humanity's ability to think creatively under pressure. Queen Velira's voice resonated in his mind, calm yet full of rare praise. "Observe how your species handles this. You have the ability to transform challenges into opportunities." Most civilizations would have failed long before now. Humans, you are different. You are unpredictable yet capable. Each move reinforced the perception that humanity was not easily swayed by aggression, yet capable of negotiating with intelligence and creativity. By the time the confrontation ended, the Arkans withdrew, their posture subdued. They had expected an easy demonstration of dominance, but instead encountered a species that combined courage, adaptability, and clever reasoning. The Queen turned to Elias, her expression softening slightly. "You have done what few outsiders could," she said. "You have faced provocation and uncertainty with clarity, composure, and insight. This is why humanity is intriguing. You do not rely solely on force or convention. You adapt. You learn. You surprise." This was more than a personal victory. It was a demonstration of humanity's potential. The universe was vast, and civilizations like the Archons were powerful, yet the human qualities of courage, creativity, and ingenuity allowed them to navigate challenges that seemed impossible. As the other delegates observed, Elias realized that the Queen's tests had served a larger purpose. They were not only evaluating him, but also demonstrating to the galaxy that humans were capable allies and negotiators. Where other species relied on aggression or protocol, humans relied on intelligence, adaptability, and audacity. Later, in a quieter chamber, the Queen spoke to him privately. "You have passed this challenge with distinction," she said. "Most species would have faltered, reacting to fear, uncertainty, or arrogance. Humans, however, have shown composure, insight, and courage. These qualities are rare and valuable. They will define your species' place among the stars. I will continue to represent humanity with the qualities you admire. But humans have something unique, the ability to face uncertainty with courage and insight. That is why you are capable of more than most species realize." The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown dangers and opportunities alike, yet humanity's qualities allowed them to navigate it with intelligence and audacity. In the following days, Elias continued to work alongside the Queen and her advisors, negotiating, observing, and learning. Every interaction was a chance to demonstrate human qualities and to understand the complexities of interstellar relations. He began to see patterns in diplomacy, strategy, and negotiation that were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. The Archons, once confident in their superiority, had been forced to acknowledge human capability. Delegates from other species began to watch humanity more closely, curious about this young and audacious species that could face challenges with clarity and ingenuity. Elias realized that humanity's reputation was beginning to grow, not through force or aggression, but through intelligence, composure, and creativity. One evening, as the Valor flagship glided silently among the stars, the Queen called Elias to the observation deck. The view was breathtaking, with distant galaxies and nebulae painting the darkness of space in brilliant colors. She gestured to the horizon. "Look out there, Elias. The universe is vast, full of unknowns and possibilities. Humanity has only just begun to find its place among the stars. Remember what you have learned here. Courage, curiosity, and ingenuity are more powerful than brute force or fear. These qualities will define your species." He understood now that humanity's strength lay not in weapons or technology alone, but in the qualities that made them uniquely human. Courage, curiosity, adaptability, and intelligence were their greatest assets. As he gazed at the stars, Elias thought of Earth, of the countless generations who had struggled, survived, and innovated to reach this point. Humanity had always faced uncertainty and danger, yet they had persevered. Here, among the stars and in the presence of beings far older and wiser, those same qualities were being recognized, valued, and admired. The Queen's voice broke his reverie. "Elias, the final stage of your journey will soon begin. You have proven that humans can adapt, think creatively, and face challenges with courage. But the universe is not finished testing you. There are lessons yet to learn and opportunities yet to seize. Remember what you have shown today. It will guide you in the trials to come." Humanity had earned respect, not through force or dominance, but through qualities that were often underestimated: ingenuity, composure, and audacity. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknowns, yet he knew that humanity was capable of meeting them. And as the Valor flagship continued its silent journey through the stars, Elias felt a growing sense of purpose. The universe was vast, but humans, with their curiosity, courage, and intelligence, were beginning to find their place. Every challenge, every test, every unexpected encounter was an opportunity to prove the strength of the human spirit. The stars stretched endlessly before him, and for the first time Elias felt that humanity's future among them was not only possible, it was inevitable. Elias woke early, his mind buzzing with the events of the previous days. The diplomatic tests, the Queen's challenges, the unexpected confrontation with the Archon consortium, it all seemed like a dream, yet he knew it was real. Humanity had shown qualities that even the Valor admired: composure, curiosity, courage, and the ability to think creatively under pressure. Now the final stage of his journey awaited, a stage that could determine not only his own place among the stars, but the place of all humanity. The central chamber of the Valor flagship was alive with activity. Delegates from countless civilizations filled the room, their eyes fixed on the queen and her human guest. Elias could feel the tension in the air, the expectation of witnessing something remarkable. He took a deep breath, reminding himself to remain calm, observant, and confident. Queen Valira's voice rang out, smooth and commanding. Today, we conclude the summit. This is the moment where humanity's qualities will be fully recognized and tested, not just by me, but by the galaxy itself. Elias, you will demonstrate what it means to represent your species with courage, intelligence, and creativity. This was not a test of skill alone, but of character, diplomacy, and insight. It was a chance to show the galaxy that humanity could hold its own among advanced civilizations. A projection appeared in the center of the chamber, displaying a distant system where a diplomatic dispute had arisen between two species. The conflict had escalated due to misunderstandings, miscommunication, and pride. The Valor had been mediating, but they wanted to observe how humans would handle the situation. Elias' task was clear. He needed to find a solution that maintained peace while demonstrating humanity's unique qualities. He studied the holographic map carefully. The situation was complex, with multiple parties, each with different interests and expectations. The challenge was not to dominate or intimidate, but to understand, communicate, and negotiate. Elias knew that a misstep could cause tension or even spark conflict. He took a deep breath and began analyzing each faction, their motivations, and their weaknesses. The first faction, the Trellari, valued logic and efficiency above all else. They respected order and were quick to anger when things seemed chaotic. The second, the Corin, were emotional and expressive, valuing loyalty and honor. Each faction had their own perspective, and any solution would need to satisfy both while avoiding escalation. Elias started by crafting messages that appealed to both species' strengths. To the Trellari, he highlighted the efficiency of compromise and the benefits of coordinated action. To the Corin, he emphasized honor, respect, and the importance of maintaining trust. He carefully balanced each word, avoiding aggression or condescension. As he sent the messages, Elias monitored the responses in real time. The factions reacted cautiously at first, testing his approach, but slowly, his reasoning and diplomacy began to work. The Trellari appreciated the logic and foresight, while the Corin felt respected and understood. Elias continued to adjust, observing patterns, predicting reactions, and finding solutions that bridged the gap between the two sides. Queen Valira watched closely, her luminous eyes fixed on him. "Observe how humans think," she said quietly. "You adapt, respond, and create solutions that are unpredictable yet effective. This is why your species is valuable. You turn challenges into opportunities." He anticipated misunderstandings, offered compromise without weakness, and built trust where there had been doubt. Slowly but surely, the factions began to engage constructively, their messages reflecting growing understanding and collaboration. Elias felt a surge of hope. Humanity could achieve what few others could, peace through intelligence, observation, and creativity. Finally, the conflict reached resolution. The Trellari and Corin agreed to cooperate under terms that respected both their values and needs. The projection in the chamber shifted, showing harmony instead of tension, collaboration instead of conflict. A wave of quiet astonishment swept through the other delegates, many of whom had doubted humanity's ability to navigate such complexity. The Queen turned to Elias, her expression softening into a rare smile. "You have done what few species could. You have faced complexity, uncertainty, and potential conflict with composure, intelligence, and courage. Humanity has demonstrated qualities that make it not only worthy of recognition, but capable of thriving among the stars." "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only acted on what I have learned from humanity's history, adaptation, observation, and perseverance. We have always faced challenges, and we have always found ways to overcome them. Humans rely on ingenuity, courage, and creativity. These qualities are unpredictable and yet powerful. You have proven that they are valuable not only for survival but for shaping the future." Now they saw the evidence of audacity, intelligence, and insight. Elias realized that humanity's reputation was changing, not through displays of force, but through thoughtful action, creativity, and courage. Over the next several hours, Elias engaged with various delegates, sharing perspectives, negotiating minor agreements, and demonstrating human ingenuity. Each interaction reinforced the growing respect for humanity, highlighting traits that were rare even among advanced civilizations: curiosity, adaptability, and composure under pressure. At one point, a delegate from a species known for their cold logic approached him. "I must admit," the being said, their tone precise and measured, "I expected humanity to falter. Yet you have demonstrated patience, reasoning, and strategic thinking. Your species is remarkable. You are unlike any species I have encountered. Not only have you represented humanity with honor, but you have shown the galaxy that your species has potential beyond measure. Courage, curiosity, ingenuity, and adaptability, these qualities define humans. They will guide your people as you find your place among the stars." He had confronted uncertainty and provocation, navigated complex challenges, and earned the respect of beings far older and wiser than humanity. And through it all, he had relied on the very qualities that had defined his species for millennia. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said. "I hope that humanity can continue to live up to your expectations and show the galaxy what we are capable of. The galaxy will take notice, and humanity's place among the stars is assured." Yet now, standing on a ship that represented one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, he understood that their audacity, courage, and intelligence could secure a future that no one had imagined. As he gazed at the stars, Elias reflected on the journey that had brought him here. The Queen's provocative test, the puzzles and platforms, the observation of the Valar mind, and the confrontation with the Arkan Consortium. Each challenge had been a lesson, a chance to demonstrate the best of humanity. And in each instance, humans had risen to meet the moment, not with brute strength or force, but with ingenuity, courage, and the capacity to learn and adapt. He realized that this was what the Valar had seen all along. Humans were young and unpredictable, yet their qualities allowed them to achieve things even advanced civilizations could not anticipate. Courage, curiosity, and adaptability were humanity's greatest strengths, and now the galaxy was beginning to recognize them. The Queen's voice broke his thoughts. "Elias, the summit is concluded. Humanity has earned respect and recognition, but remember, this is only the beginning. The universe is vast, and your species has only begun to explore its possibilities. Trust in your qualities, in your courage, and in your creativity. They will guide you forward." Humanity had faced its first true test among the stars and had passed, not through force or intimidation, but through qualities that made them uniquely human. The galaxy had taken notice, and humanity's reputation was secure, at least for now. That night, as he looked out at the endless expanse of stars, Elias understood something fundamental. The human spirit, bold, curious, and adaptable, could rise to any challenge. The universe was vast, full of mysteries, opportunities, and dangers, but humanity had something that no technology or weapon could replace: the courage to face the unknown, the wisdom to learn, and the audacity to succeed where others might fail. For the first time, Elias felt that humanity's future among the stars was not only possible, it was inevitable. And somewhere deep within the heart of the Valar flagship, the Queen's gaze lingered, observing, approving, and knowing that humans, unpredictable and bold, had shown that they were ready to take their place among the galaxy's greatest civilizations. The stars stretched endlessly before him, a canvas of possibility, and Elias knew that humanity had begun its true journey, one of exploration, courage, and achievement. The universe would remember them, and humanity would rise.